Welcome to the Connected Calm Life. This is Lauren.
Hey, Lauren, what's up?
Oh my gosh, so much. Everything's happening.
No. The connected calm life. It is a connected calm life.
It is a connected calm life. I think that I am in a really good groove of knowing that there is a spectrum
Hmm.
of connectivity
Hmm.
and calmness that
Hmm.
I will flow around amongst.
Yeah.
And that brings me a lot of calmness, just knowing that whatever place I'm at on that spectrum, even if it's not my ideal level
Hmm.
of calm and connectedness, I will come back to it.
You'll come back.
Yeah.
You have that know-how of coming back.
Definitely.
Yeah.
After many, many, many years of practice, and every day
Great.
is a practice.
Great. So if you haven't listened to episode 90, Lauren is our residence human design luminary. She knows all about human design. She's all up in the woo, honestly. Like you're all in the woo, which
I
I
love it.
love.
Yeah.
I love it. So I want to guide you back to episode 90 and listen to that because we kind of dive into human design. We dive into her story and, her alcohol free living. And I think that's why this is really interesting of like just knowing like the truth is you don't want to go back there and you know how to find those pockets of calm and
Yeah.
feeling connected. And imagine if you were hungover today.
I can't even imagine. And it's so funny because I still see, I see people every day
Yeah.
and in varying degrees of, connectedness or honesty or authenticity. And it's just so fascinating and
Mm-hmm.
truly fabulous that
Mm-hmm.
I'm still working through it all. It's still a work in progress, but I
Yeah.
feel like that is off my plate. Waking up feeling crappy, bloated,
Oh,
cloudy. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't have to feel that way because of drinking. Maybe for another reason, but not because of drinking.
oh my God, that you just said it, like not waking up feeling bloated and that
Yeah.
like the fogginess of
Yeah.
like, what am I doing? Oh,
Yeah. And for me,
amen.
it was not being clear on conversations. What
Yeah.
did I say? What did I do? And I'm talking after one drink. It was not like I was like the worst drinker ever because one
Hmm.
drink and I'd be like, I don't feel good. Why am I doing this? What did I say? It was
Yeah.
just like such a complete misalignment from
Hmm.
my body
Hmm. Hmm.
and
Oof.
mind and soul.
So do you see that in human design? Do you see that in your human design information?
So I really don't. I mean, I do have, it's interesting that you asked that because I've never really looked at drinking or, drug abuse or addiction in any way as it relates to human design because I really do believe it is a roadmap. It's a guide. It's
Mm.
this magical piece of information. But like anybody that does anything related to woo and soul work will tell you that it is knowing and learning and listening, but also that we have free will.
Hmm.
So I don't know
Hmm.
how those play a part. I do think the centers that we have open, which we did talk about in that episode, but just as a quick refresher, when you look at your chart, there's 9 centers. There's ones that are colored, also known as defined. Those are the areas that you have a really consistent way of processing energy. It's sort of the core of who you are. It's where you're here to give impact. On the flip side, you have white centers. They're white, they're open, they're called undefined. Those are the areas where you can be really intuitive, you can really pick up and sense and feel what's happening, and you are more susceptible to outside energy, outside conditioning. So it could be interesting to see how many open centers you have, where they are, and how that relates to if you're using alcohol as a coping mechanism or
Yeah.
a numbing thing.
Yeah.
Is that because you are potentially taking in energy in these open centers and having a struggle discerning what's yours, what's other people, and just sort of leaning on alcohol, as we all do and have, to make yourself feel any number of things or not feel any number of things. So that would be interesting.
Okay. Centers. I'm like, open
You're
centers.
Like, where are we?
See, you just went there, and I'm like, okay, I wasn't ready for that, but I'm going to be quick on my feet here. Let's go back for a moment and talk about the roadmap, because let's go back to the roadmap, because that's how human design is a roadmap for us. And before we even get to the roadmap, there is this sense of, or perhaps when we're on the recovery journey, of really discovering who we are.
Yeah.
Right. We're like digging deep and getting really honest with ourselves. And it's uncomfortable. It can be alarming. It can be rewarding. So if we were to look at the roadmap and have the lens of honesty open, right? We're going to open ourselves up and look at that roadmap. Are we going to find things that are going to propel us forward? Or are we going to see things that maybe we don't want?
So human design is really a tool for authenticity, authentic living. And what that means is there is no good or bad. There is what you could say a higher vibration, a higher expression of truth, and a lower side, a shadow side. And that's with any modality, you get information. When you get the truth, there is within that truth a spectrum of, it could be over here, which is kind of mean and aggressive and cruddy and, jealous. And it can be inspiring and amazing and wondrous. And so it's really knowing who you are from the lens of human design is so that you can, number one, step away from all the conditioning that tells you this is who you're supposed to be, this is how you have to be, and instead tells you this is who you are, and these are the possibilities, and this is a way to find ease and alignment and joy and freedom. And so, yes, there are things that when you get your human design chart or get a session, there might be things that are surprising. There might be things that you thought about yourself, or you prided yourself in, or you connected to the struggle of. But I am such a firm believer that the truth will set you free. And it's really the second you understand something, even the second you speak it out loud, I have my truth tingles, there is a shift that can happen, and just letting go, because you've already thought it, you've already known it. And as soon as you verbalize it, you vocalize it, you write it down, it shifts from being something that you're embarrassed about or ashamed about or feel guilty about. And it's just something that is. And then that energy doesn't own you anymore. It's like you transmute it and it's out of you. So I'm all for the knowledge.
I'm all for the knowledge. I'm all for the truth tingles.
Yeah. I know. I didn't even, that was by accident. That would have been nice if I planned that.
That was really good. So let's get into these centers, because I like the colored centers and the white centers, and how our listeners can really use this information to live this more authentic life, because that's what we're here to do. We find recovery and we begin to live this honest life. And this is a tool that we can all use to propel our lives forward. So let's dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So human design is based on your birth date and exact time and location. There's tons of free resources online, mybodygraph.com, to plug in that information, and you will get a crazy looking chart. Like if you've ever plugged in your astrology and you see the circle with lines, it's called a body graph. It's different looking than that, but it has like the shape of a person with all these different centers and different numbers and lines and colors. But starting at the very top, I would say that knowing your energy type is the most important. That's like the archetype that people really dig into. It is so much of the essence of your energy. So putting aside centers and strategy and authority, I think we're going to talk about that in future episodes. Just digging into your type. There's 5 different energy types. So it's really easy.
Did we do mine? I can't remember. Did we pull mine up?
No, I need yours. We've got to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to send it to me.
Okay.
So knowing which one of these 5 types you are can go such a long way towards just honoring your energy as a being. And so again, finding that authenticity, finding that acceptance, right? Being honest with yourself about this is who I am. This is how I show up in the world. This is what I need to feel joy, to feel peace. And so also knowing that how you are best designed might not always be what is popular. It might not be what everybody else is doing. And so that's another element of just really checking in and saying, like, I prioritize how I feel more than I prioritize how other people are going to view me or what they're going to say or what they're going to think.
Okay. So we're going to go live right now. Right now, I just pulled up mine.
Oh, exciting.
I'm going to share my screen. Boom. Do you see that?
I do. Can you make it a little bit? Yeah, no, I was going to say to pull it out a little bit more.
Did I do it?
No, can you zoom out so it's a wider view?
That's as much as I can do.
Oh, okay. So I do not know from looking at that if you are a generator or a manifesting generator, but you do have your sacral defined, which means that you are one of those 2.
Is that this?
That's right. That's the sacral. So in order to be a generator or a manifesting generator, you have that sacral definition. That is what makes you this energy, buzzy, creator, builder energy.
So for our listeners that are listening, instead of having the visual experience, I am at mybodygraph.com. And I just literally just put my information in really quick and then up popped this being thing.
I described it kind of right. It's like a human, but not really.
With like these circles and lines and shapes and colors. I have a lot of brown. So here's, you mentioned colors. So I have a lot of brown, and then there's white. I have the white, and then I have yellow and red.
Yeah.
How many colors are there normally?
Well, the colors don't matter. It's just if it's a color or not a color. That's a very common question. So you can have, as a design, all the way from every center white, which means that you are a reflector, which is the rarest type. That's only 1%. Or you can have all the way to all centers colored, which is also very rare. And that would make you a generator or a manifesting generator. I'm just looking to see if you either close that information hub or if you drag that over, if it will pull out which.
Where do you want me to go?
I was just seeing if you could that information hub, if we could close that, or either that, or if you can.
This over here?
Yeah, because it usually says on the right-hand side what your type is. Oh, wait, no. Oh, because it wants you to purchase it. I have a paid plan. So
information hub. I don't know.
Yeah. But I can pull it up in mine if you want. If you go.
What am I looking for? Oh, look at generator with sacral authority.
Okay, there we go. Because that's the thing, because it's hard to tell. Sometimes you can tell because a manifesting generator, this is just for us, not for the thing, we'll have one specific channel and you have a piece of it, but it's not clear. So you are a generator. So a generator is this really energy powerhouse, which is all about creating and building. It's really about loving what you do for work.
Okay, let's pause for a second. Hang on real quick. So let's go back to the colors, right? So I have 4 white. So I want to go back to this question for our listeners. You had said only 1% of people are all colors or all white. Is that what you said?
1% is all white.
Okay.
All colored is also a very small percent. I think it's probably similar. Yeah.
Perfect. And then are they always brown and red?
Yes. So
Okay.
the bottom one is always brown. The
Got it.
sacral is, yes, the colors stay the same. It just is a matter of whether it's colored or white. I know that's confusing for people all the
It's
time.
totally good. It's totally good.
Yeah.
If you're listening, please, this will be in the community and you can watch it in the community. It's fascinating. There's a bunch of symbols and a bunch of information here. So I want to encourage you to jump into the community and watch this episode. All right. Back to you, Lauren.
Oh, yeah. So do you want to keep going on the generator type?
Yeah, now we can go back to this generator thing, because I don't know what this means. And maybe, are there a lot of generators in?
Yeah. So the generator is about 37% of the population.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a big number, and which is great, because a lot of the communication and the language that is used in today's society is meant for generators. It is an element of hustle and being busy and just like getting your stuff done. And generators have this beautiful ability to master things over time. So you find a few things that you really love, you work at them. It doesn't mean there's not an ebb and a flow, or there might be places where you pause and sort of recommit to, is this really what I want to do? And if that's the case, then maybe it's getting a new teacher or taking a new class or making some sort of shift. Sometimes it means that you're done with it. Sometimes it means that you're ready to pivot. But generators are really like hone their craft, really just become these like energetic, creative builder beings.
Okay. So that's our generator. What other type do we have?
So there's a manifesting generator, which is about 33% of the population. Okay. So that is, sometimes people classify it with a generator. I 100% call it out as its own energy type, because it is very much this hybrid type between a generator and a manifestor, which we'll get to. But a manifesting generator is also this creative energy being. One of the main differences between a man-gen and a traditional appear generator is this very fluctuating energy hummingbird, having all the balls in the air, all the plates spinning, very multi-passionate. So these are more often your people that have 17 projects going on versus 2 or 3 projects going on. These are people that have a very non-linear path. They're always pivoting and shifting around. So there is a whole set of ways that a man-gen can show up in the most authentic place, honest place for themselves.
Wow. Okay. So that's 3 different generators.
No. Generator and a manifesting generator.
Generator and manifesting generator.
Yes. And then there is the projector energy type. So that's about 23% of the population. Okay. So these are really the mentors, the visionaries. It's sort of, they talk about like it being the leader for the new world, the next generation, where they're seeing things from this bird's eye view perspective.
See, you're going woo right there.
I know, I'm going woo. I know. Well, it's so interesting when they look at people's like historically what their human design is and the way that things used to be set up. And so the projector is very different from a generator and a manifesting generator in that they are what's called, it's not a consistent energy. So it's very much about working smarter and not harder, 4 to 5 hours a day.
Elon Musk.
I don't know I never get into celebrity. There's something that feels very intrusive to me. I've had people ask me about this before, like, ooh, can you talk about a famous person? And I'm like, number one, even though I do a little bit pay attention to celebrity and pop culture, I don't know. I feel like then we get into the place where you're comparing yourself to somebody else. And there's so many factors that go into it. It's really, it's hard to get like a even comparison. But again, these are people that need to be more conscious of who they're giving their energy to. They need to be seen. They need to be recognized. They need to know that their energy is valuable and not just to, shoot it off at everybody, so to speak.
Right. Okay, and so that's the generator.
Okay,
the manifestor. Okay, projector. Okay, keep going. So many.
And then we have the manifestor. So the manifestor is about 9 or 10% of the population. And this is, again, pulls into that manifesting generator energy, but as its own, it is very much that like spark, that innovator, the fire starter. These are the people that are really here to like start something and then they leave. Like other people have to continue the work. And so for them, it's actually a really interesting energy type because people recognize they move so quickly from like idea to action. They're the people that are like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. They really are best served by informing other people so that other people know what's going on with them, not to get permission, but just to soften a little bit of that energetic exchange. And also it's a very common thing because manifestors can feel other people's energy and know that they're different, that they do tend to maybe shrink, maybe make themselves smaller, not live up to their full potential because they can feel like they're being polarizing. People either love a manifestor or they don't. And as one, you can sense like, why are people feeling this way about me? And it's really about just being true to yourself and letting go. You're not going to be for everybody. And you just have to accept that.
Is that what you are?
No, I'm a manifesting generator. I'm that hybrid type. I'm that crazy energy hummingbird. Can't you tell I'm all over the place?
You got to, yes, you do have a lot of things going on. But when you're talking about this manifestor, it's like, I feel that. I feel very similar to what you're just describing. I don't know what this generator with the sacral authority is. Yeah, that didn't land. But this manifestor that you're talking about right now, I'm like, oh God, that feels like me.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So that can be, again, for so many different reasons. It could have to do with your centers. It could have to do with conditioning. And we all have elements of all the energy because again, there's 2 billion combinations that you can be. So you can have so many similarities with other elements on somebody's chart. And then the last one is the reflector. So that's the one that has all 9 centers open.
Wow.
So they are very, very open. They have an energy that is so fluctuating every single day. They could feel like somebody else because they are picking up so much. So for them, it is just really critical to be in an environment that feels good, in a community, in a relationship. They need to be very protective of their energy and also just know that they are built differently. They need to really give themselves time, really feel into what's happening, and they're not going to show up like anybody else.
Would that be more like an empath or a psychic or no?
No, I mean, anybody can be anything.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen any correlation between, oh, you have more centers open. I mean, it does mean that you are more open in the sense that you have more spaces where you can feel other people, but it doesn't mean you could have one center open and be highly empathic through that center. Yeah.
Got it. Oh my gosh.
Did I overload you? I didn't mean to.
No, it's great. I think about, as we walk in recovery, this information, it's like, how do we use this? Right. So if I'm this generator with sacral authority, okay, now what? Like,
yeah, no, definitely. And that's why getting the information online, digging into it is great. Having a reading is fantastic because it really does take it from this very like esoteric, complicated, potentially overwhelming thing into bringing it into the everyday.
Right.
So for you as a generator with sacral authority, people are going to know how capable you are. They are going to ask you to do things all the time because they just have that sense all the time.
They assume, just assume it's just, I can. Yeah.
Right. And so it is very common that someone as a generator with the sacral authority will have people pleasing tendencies because it feels good to be busy. It feels good to say yes. It feels good to take everything on. However, that can mean that at the end of the day, you have this really full resume, but maybe didn't do anything that was actually just for you. So that's one of those things that, like, if you get a reading and you talk through what's happening in your life and how it's showing up, where you can see that, okay, first of all, my truth is in the moment. I'm going to learn how to trust my gut instinct, my gut reaction. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to feel an opening or an expansion towards something, or I'm going to feel a pulling away. I'm going to be like, oh, that's not for me. And trusting what that is when your mind and your ego is saying, say yes to that, say yes to that, say yes to that. your body might really be saying, I want to say no to all these things. And that's
Okay.
hard to do.
Okay. There it is. There it is, Lauren. So for many years, I just like did things and said, yes, I'll do that. And I was all over the place. And that was really great. And I had a great time. And, you know, when I landed into the connected calm life and when I started my practice and created the practice and honed in on the connected calm life, everything changed. And I began to listen. It's so interesting. You bring the body up. The body has the answers, right? That was the clear distinction, the clear distinction between living every day and just doing things. Mm-hmm. And then actually being useful and being seen and being heard and living on purpose.
Yeah.
Was when I started listening to my body. And I could only do that as a result of doing my practice. It changed everything. So there is something about this generator.
You're like, wait a second. Maybe there's something there for me.
Sacral authority, with the sacral authority. It's so fascinating, this work, because I don't understand, there's so many layers to it.
Yeah.
And it's complex. And we're going to keep learning with you, which is really exciting.
Yay.
As you're one of the luminaries in the community, which is so cool. What else can she look at, or how can she, you know, our listener, our community member, how can she, she's going to go to Bodygraph, mybodygraph.com. She's going to look it up. She's going to read it. And then is there anything else that she can do? Because she goes, you know, it's like, we want to live our true selves. We want to live a very authentic, honest life. Is there anything else that you can share with her today that she can use to take steps forward in living her best recovered life?
I mean, definitely looking further into human design gives you people say it gives you validation. It gives you a permission slip.
Okay.
It gives you a language for something that you maybe have always known and felt, but not ever felt confident or self-assured enough to say, this is who I am. I'll give you a good example. For manifesting generators, because our energy pivots so quickly and moves around a lot and our passions are ever changing, committing to something in advance is not good for us. Because you might say, oh, do you want to do this in 3 months? And I'm like, hell yes, that sounds amazing. Well, guess what's going to happen 2 weeks before? I'm going to start to say, oh my God, I don't want to do that anymore. Why did I sign up for that? This is a nightmare. How do I get out of this? Now I have to do this thing that I don't really want to do. And I want to honor my energy and I want to honor my commitment. And you're like all of a sudden in this tornado. So saying, when all possible, I know people have to make commitments in the real world. Yeah. But when at all possible, to say, thank you for that invitation. I love that. I am definitely interested. Can I confirm with you closer to the date? Yeah. Just something like that, and owning that you know that your energy changes so that you're not in the place where you're committing to something. That right there, just listening, right? Using the mindfulness practice, listening to that inner voice, that intuition, that voice that we often ignore so readily. Yeah. Who are you? What are you saying? No, not doing that. No. I'm going to ignore that voice, right? Like that voice is everything. And I love that you just said, you know, it's like human design is that permission slip. It's validation. So cool. Yeah. And it's true. A lot of times, maybe you are raised in a house with people who have completely different energy types than you. Yeah. And so they're putting on you, you got to do this. You have to do this. Let's do this. And that's never felt right for you. Right. But we all want to be loved. We all want to fit in. We all want to feel like we, like you said earlier, are seen and heard. And so throughout the day, throughout our years, we just let little bits and pieces of ourselves fall away. Yeah. And so I think human design is one of many amazing modalities that just help you come back to who you are.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we're doing here.
Yeah. What are we doing if we don't know who we are? What are we doing?
Right. Well, that's the discovery. That's the recovery journey. That is, the whole gift of being in recovery is exploring what we were hiding from when we were drinking and using and hurt. And it's not even, we don't even have to be drinking and using. We can be on the emotional wellness journey of like, oh, I want to discover my life. Like, what is my purpose? Yeah. That is so cool when somebody has that awakening of like, I'm done. I can't deal with this job anymore. And this boss is a jackass.
Yeah. Yeah. Or to say, okay, I know that I am really supposed to love something that I'm doing. I am my most magnetic. Yeah. More opportunities come to me. More people come to me. Everything feels amazing when I'm spending my time doing what I love. Yeah. That is not a selfish thing. That is not this like, oh, it's only available to a certain number of privileged people. We should all be able to do what we love all freaking day long.
Mm-hmm. We are all.
That's my soapbox of that.
Love it. I love it. No, you just brought up a really good point of living our true selves, like really not taking advantage. It's like owning who you are. Mm-hmm. Like we are all unique little flowers. Yeah. Like no one else is going to be like me. Nobody else should want to be like me because you're you and you're brilliant just as you are. Right. Like I really keep coming back to this idea about like each person, you can't copy. I had this conversation with another person recently about, she discovered that somebody was copying all of her programming, all of her social media, all of her stuff. And I just thought, oh my God, I'm so sad for her. Like that is like a cry for help. Like we don't need to copy. We can just, I like to use the word model. We can model somebody, but we don't need to copy. We don't need to, because we're all like these unique, brilliant women. Like women are so cool. I think
that's one of the things that, again, knowing who you are, what your gifts are, how your energy works, what you have to offer. Yeah. There's so much opportunity for us to just step into that in a fuller sense where we don't feel the need to model or emulate or copy other people's systems. We are going to find what works for us. And it's not to say the journey is not rocky, it's not up and down, but it's yours. And to be able to own that in such just an incredible, empowering way, it's there's nothing like it. And I mean, and there's always so many new things out there. I just had an astrology reading, which I had never had a full, complete reading before. And my little mind was like blowing up every 5 seconds because again, to know that when I have this push and pull in my mind, well, now I know why. It's not because I'm broken. It's not because I'm bad or I'm wrong. I was designed that way. And that's the whole other thing is then when you have this information and you have the challenge and you have the dark side and you have the trouble, it's like, okay, knowing what I now know about myself, what is this here to teach me? Where is this here to serve me? How can I take this experience and knowing that I have this really solid foundation and move forward with it instead of everything's happening to me and now I need to fall apart and, which is hard to do when you don't have solid scaffolding.
When we're in that place of, oh, the world is falling apart, I can't do anything, right? That's a different energy, a lower vibration. Like in astrology, I think they say it's like the shadow side.
I love the animation that goes along with that.
Again, if you want to watch that, come into the community. So does human design have that too? Like the shadow side?
Yeah, there is a lower vibration, a lower expression of something. And so again, when you know that, then it can't hurt you. It doesn't hold the same weight anymore. It's like that truth, that freedom is there for you to step into.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think, I certainly don't want to come across as like, I have it all together. I never fall apart. I never have a bad day. Like, I'm in it.
Come on,
I'm
Lauren.
in it. I know. I'm in it every day. But I think that knowing I love myself in a way at this moment and each day that I more than I did before.
Yeah.
I know who I am more. I give less fucks about what other people think about me, which is a whole new world for me, because my entire life I wanted to fit in. I didn't want to be too loud. I didn't want to be too much. I wanted to be nice. I wanted people like me, all these things. And it's like every bit of information that I get about myself allows me to stand a little bit taller, a little bit more proud, a little bit more on my own.
So how do you think you got to that place, right? Where you're just loving yourself more every day?
It's actually interesting that you ask about that, because I am writing a book.
What?
Ah!
Get out of here. Okay.
I'm writing a book, and
Yes.
that is part of what I'm going to be talking about, is finding my way back to myself and the tips that I use, the process that I use to do that. And it is really, in many ways, as simple as deciding that you want to do it. Well, first deciding that you're worthy, knowing that you're worthy, deciding that you want to do it, and literally carving out the time, because that knight in shining armor is not going to come and sweep you away to Canyon Ranch so that you can have weeks of self-time when you have a family and a job and all the things. You have to say, I'm locking the door and I'm going to take a bubble bath, and you guys can just deal with it. I don't care if you're screaming outside. I am having 5, 10, 30 minutes to myself so that I know who I am without my relationship to you. Boom.
Amen. I love it. I love it. I love that so much. In the world of 12 steps, we talk about making a decision, and we talk about accepting who we are. We talk about these universal principles that I bring up all the time that are, for lack of a better word, keys to a door to your soul. And when we have those keys, we open that door and we walk through and we find ourselves. And sometimes we lose the key. We're like, oh shit, I lost the key.
Where'd that go?
I gotta find that key. And then it's like, oh, I have another key. It's under the door, under the mat. Okay. I can get it.
Yeah.
But it's this process of remembering to remember that I have the keys and I can use the keys to get through the door, and I am worthy of using the keys.
Yeah.
So I love that this is where you're at. I love the woo and how you bring it on, and it's so fun to have you on the show. Is there anything else that you want to share today? You're writing a book. I mean, come on.
I know.
Good.
It's amazing. And again, that was a place where I very much was, because I'm in a group coaching program for this.
Good.
Should I spend this amount of money on me? And that's a place where it's like, okay, what would future Lauren do?
Yes.
Future Lauren that has her book published and is working on her second one and has her group coaching program and has this or that, is like, of course I'm going to do this, because this is what the end result is. So that journey to even saying yes to that was not without a lot of the looking for the keys. Where did all my keys go? I know this is a tough time, again, when this is coming out, hopefully some of the world has settled down, but I feel like there's always new things.
Always new things.
I would just say to people, and I've been talking about this a lot lately with other, soul sisters and clients and friends, that it is okay that the world is on fire and we are still taking care of ourselves.
Yes.
Like, we cannot save anybody from being in this broken place. Like, we can't suffer enough to make their suffering go away. And so doing what we need to do in not a selfish way, but in a, this is what is required, like this is what I'm entitled to way, is highest priority. Nature, walking, baths, quiet time, conversation, whatever it is that nourishes your soul, and knowing what that is, because maybe somebody else loves to do that and that doesn't work for you. So honestly looking at what feels good to you,
Yep.
painting, writing, anything that reminds you that you are your own sole sovereign space
Yep.
without everything else going on in the world.
So good. Yeah. Sometimes, going on a walk isn't everybody's jam.
Yeah.
Like it's really honoring the things that you love that are going to fill you up. I love that you just brought that home. Boom. Love it. You're coming back on the show, I think next month. I'm excited. So stay tuned for that. And if you haven't listened to episode 90, go back to that. Lauren, thank you as always for being here and being a part of the Connected Calm Life.
Oh, I'm so honored and grateful to be here. Yeah. And connect with you and all of your beautiful listeners.
Yeah. All right, my friend, may you find something bright, something light, and something so delicious that fills you up so you can be the best you can be. Until next time, take good care.